Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the season finale of Outlander 100,000 Angels. Yes, and, that kind of connects up with, like, Jane and Fanny and everything kind of going on in this episode. This was a really weird one. How they ended it and what kind of came out of this. Now, my mom's the lore one, the deep lore, and oh god, this definitely went into some crazy ass directions, mainly towards the end, because up until we got into the end, I was okay with what was going on. I really was like, okay, I really don't need a jacket. The jacket of what's kind of going on. I'm even not completely thumbs downing this. However, we have reached Game of Thrones show territory here. Because even though my mom's kind of like checking in and going on with it, the changes that were made here with this adaptation would kind of be going into probably the next book, because we've still not finished book like this ended kind of like book 8ish kind of region. There's still book 9 to be done, and 10, and we've only got like 10 fucking episodes left now for the next season. It's like, oh my god, what the fuck is going to happen here? But up until that, this was mainly divided into Claire recovering and figuring out what they're doing, a little bit of Ian and Rachel, William and Lord John in his pirate DLC outfit. I still like it and everything going on, but it's just, I'm like, hey, he's wearing his pirate skin that he got from a video game throughout this whole thing. Brianna and the kids, and Roger and Buckley kind of getting shunted to the back before also, like, having Brianna dealing with Brian, her grandfather. So let's deal with, like, small, like, things that, like, kind of dovetail into other stuff, and then, like, the Brianna and Roger kind of stuff as well, before hitting upon doing things going on with Claire, John, and Jamie, and then linking that up with William. Move your head. I always think of that from that Mike Myers movie. So I married an axe murderer. William, move your head. Every time. It's nothing that the actor does. It's nothing that the show does. It's just my thing with that always clicks into my head. So, Ian and Rachel, of course, get pretty much screwed again, because we've got the whole kind of cast going on, and we do have to deal with what's kind of happening with Roger and Brianna, even though we get into a weird kind of off spot with that. I thought we were going to go a little bit further, but evidently not. So, we find out that they're trying to figure out what's going on, because this links up with the stuff at the end where they're thinking about potentially going back to the Ridge with Claire and Jamie after they're pretty much back up and ready. And we find out that Rachel is pregnant. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I got plot of land from Roger Mack, so yeah, that sounds like the best kind of case. So they have their kind of cute moments and everything, but then they wake up and we see that Rollo has died, and this severely affects Ian and Rachel. And he's like, I need some time to bury him. She's like, I'm helping your ass. I married the dog too. I'm like, good, Rachel. And I'm like, and I have no, like, there's no problems with this. I'm like, Ian very much sells how he's had this dog forever, pretty much. And it's a loss of the family. And Jamie even commented on later and everything. It's like, yeah, that fucking blows. I'm sorry for your loss. And I wish it had, there's too much to go on that it's not given its complete due, in my opinion. It's not completely another shunted to the side where you just have Ian coming and crying, oh, what's wrong, motherfucker? My dog's dead. At least we got, like, scenes with it, so I'm not completely and utterly being like, yeah, completely shit the bed. It's like, I wanted more focus on this because that dog's been in here for fucking ever, man. Like, same with Adso, man. Same with that cat, man. It does some shit. So, it's like, okay, their family is growing. They decided to go to the Ridge. He's decided not to be a scout anymore. I'm like, yeah, totally get that. Go back. Get out of this shit. So, let us now hit the Roger and Brianna stuff. There's not really much that kind of went on to dig into. They're just mainly because of the show, and that's my big, like, I'm digging more into the show, being like, you need to do more with these motherfuckers because the actors are good. I love the characters and their relationship and what's going on, and we get the barest minimum time for it. It's like, at least we got this. But, So, evidently this was kind of different, with what was going on for the book, because evidently there's more to the whole thing of Brianna actually going to California, hooking up with Joe Abernathy, them actually doing science shit to figure out what's going on with, like, the time-traveling powers, specifically between Mandy and Jem. But we get none of that. We see that they're kind of going through, and this time Jem pops up, is like, hey, Daddy, the problem is they're in 1739, and they would need to pretty much go to the 1770s to hook up with Claire and Jamie. And they're at Lollyrock. They're kind of like figuring out what's going on. Buck's like, hey, yeah, before pretty much getting punted to the side. Now, from what my mom told me, this at least didn't go into that Buckley went to Galus and like fucked himself out of existence. So we don't know what really happens with him. He kind of just gets pushed to the side. So that's a thing that's got to be dealt with. Either he dies or sacrifices himself or something to that effect of something. Because he just falls off. Or we'll see what goes on. We do get a bit that kind of is similar to the book. But the thing is, it was Brianna and Jem in the book evidently going to the graves. And then Brian being like, holy fucking shit, it's my wife. And my son Willie, and going freak out mode, whereas this, it was more subdued, and I was more with how Brian was talking about the conversation, how they're talking about, like, how they can kind of look for things in other people with ones that they've lost and everything like that, even though it's like, yeah, I'm your granddaughter. Brianna just sounded really uninterested in how this was going on. I don't know if it was down to direction, content, or whatnot. The actress just having, like, an off day or whatnot. It was just like, oh, okay. Alright. Interesting kind of scene. I know it hits very differently than what the scene was in the book, which is what my mom kind of had a issue with, of what was going on, of why the changes were going on versus, like, completely going on. But that's the kind of snowball effect that goes on with adaptations. And even here, my main kind of issue, instead of being completely versed with what was reading in the book, was just like, oh, it's an interesting kind of thing to have Brianna talking with her grandfather. It's just, is this important to the overall plot at this point? Because when you are adapting, you have to pick the most important things and the most time to spend on it. That is something that Game of Thrones, in the beginning, was able to get a nice lock and handle on. However, when you're working with an outline towards the end, we see what things kind of go down with. This show, I don't think, has that problem. It's not like Diana Gabaldon is sitting off doing fuck all and, like, side questing like a motherfucker going, I'm gonna write 30 ass different books and, like, video games and do all this other kind of shit. And Starz bull rushed through stuff that they didn't need to bull rush through and changed up episode like season lengths episode wise to how you tell the story. It's like so they reached a pretty much ender point before she was done. It's like, so I don't really hit it as her problem. I mean, I understand if you've only got so much time and resources, but like hiatus or whatnot. I mean, fuck, One Piece. Okay, I know I'm crossing over my fandoms here, but like I'm into a lot of different kind of shit. One Piece, the anime, went on have been on a hiatus for like the final kind of arc kind of stuff that's going on. Now it's probably going to take a while for that arc to be finished. So don't, like, it's not like it's finishing right at this kind of point. But that fucker's got like over 1,000 episodes. Like, we're reaching like 1,200. Yeah, I enjoy it. It's a fucking time investment. Trust me, I get it. But they hiatused the anime just to like let things kind of go along. That's something that is an interesting thing that anime sometimes do, because sometimes they catch up with the manga and they just fucking go on a hiatus, and sometimes it takes a while for the next season to pop up. Now, they have less kind of constraints in that kind of manner, because even if someone ages out, voice actor wise, normally, barring some freak fucking thing happening, you could still do the voice and be like, yeah, that's Goku, Vegeta, Spike Spiegel, or whatnot, if something had, like, popped off or went off. And I understand that you have to watch out with that, but I'm not talking about hiatusing, like, 30 fucking years. I'm talking about, do, like, 6 months, a year, or whatnot, to give it room to properly breathe. Because to me, I know you're probably like, why are you fucking tangenting here? We're bringing it back. I don't see the value really much of having this much of the scene of Brian and Brianna and everything kind of going on, because I'm trying to figure out, other than just like, oh, she gets to talk with her grandpa. I'm like, okay, but what about the overall plot? Because we get a complete and utter shift in the plot of what kind of goes on at the end here. Because the books have a different kind of way of what's going versus what we get here. Now, the books can get there, working off of different kind of things and incomplete information and fucking jamming everything into one fucking donut tube of a thing changes things. Alright. So, they're trying to figure out what to do. They've, of course, got their home in the 1980s. And Brianna's like, I'm missing my parents. Mandy's okay and cool. How about we go to my parents? Like, all right, cool. And that kind of just is then left to be at that point. Let us then fuse together the last couple ones, because that's how it kind of works out. We had started off with this episode with this asshole pretty much like, why'd you kill this motherfucker? It's like, it's pretty fucking clear. I mean, interviewing Jane for the whole kind of thing, and she's just like, suck my ass. It's like, oh, what about your sister? Do you want to have, like, leave words for that? I'm like, fuck you, buddy, you fucking asshole. You're not here to, like, tell her story or her truth. You're just here to fucking sell shit and make money. Fuck you. We see her kind of also towards the end waving an Aurora Borealis, where, of course, we get the whole kind of angels bit. And then that links up with William's stuff as she is held. So, we see that Claire is convalescing, getting better. We see Jamie taking care of her, and these actors have great chemistry. It's kind of funny seeing them kind of go through it, and kind of like, I don't want to see you. I don't want you seeing me go to the mouse. Like, fuck this. And she's like, all right, cool. Now I need to actually look at that piss to see if there's any blood in it, to see if one of my kidneys have gotten fucked up. And seeing him kind of go through and have that kind of thing is really kind of nice. We see that John pops in to kind of check on them. Jamie is being a complete and utter dipshit. I'm like, yes, you had issues. You and John need to work that shit out. Yes, he might be in his pirate DLC outfit, but he's still the same goddamn Lord John Grey. Just fucking talk to him. And John and Claire having that nice kind of bit, and them being like, yeah, we saved each other, and thanking each other for what they were doing. And it's like, I can understand Jamie's feelings to a certain extent, but I would just be grateful that they were able to help and save each other. But then again, I'm a different person than Jamie, because I would be more grateful that I would be like, dude, I know you weren't doing it. Like, Lord John wouldn't be doing it to fucking make Jamie feel lesser or less of a man or anything like that. John felt horrible guilt over it probably, and wanted Jamie to either beat his ass completely or kill his ass because of the thing going on, and then it of course spiraled to this whole kind of shit. Instead, they should have been able, Jamie should have been able to kind of like talk that shit out. However, I don't fault that on the actors, and I almost necessarily don't fault it on the writers, because if you only got a certain amount of time to do this kind of shit, which is the whole kind of issue with this, we don't get to understand and delve into those things. We just kind of move on. It's like, alright, so she's getting kind of better, but we also get that she gets better and gets a visit from Master Raymond. Now, I believe that this is actually Master Raymond, and being like, it's not your time, Madonna, and I'm sorry for what I did the last time. You'd probably be pissed off at me. Now, I'm paraphrasing here, and it's like, what? And she asked Jamie if she saw anyone. It's like, what's kind of going on here? So, this is going to be really fucking weird. Because they do bring the Master Raymond stuff in, and that becomes more of a focal point as we get towards the end of the episode. So, we then link back up with Lord John pretty much talking with William. William's like, listen, And he actually comes to Lord John as pretty much an adult. He's like, listen, can you help me? She's arrested for murder. Yeah, she did it. Can you help me out, helping her out? And he got the information. He's like, do you love this girl? And he's like, I don't know. And I really loved that he said he didn't know. That was a very adult thing where he's like, I don't know. She makes me feel different kind of things. It's a really kind of different kind of relationship. I don't know. I just want to help her because of what's kind of going on. I was like, all right, cool. And we see that he then goes to... He pretty much tells him what's kind of going to be going on, that they're going to execute and everything. There's not going to be a trial because of martial law and shit. And they decide to go on, and he decides to ask Jamie for assistance. And he's like, all right, sure. And then they pretty much sneak in and try and get Jane out. We see that Brianna has taught Jamie how to pretty much break into a window and get out that way. And they get in there, but they find out that Jane has killed herself, slit her wrists with a bottle and everything. And they didn't want to leave her like that, so they put her on the bed as guards were coming in, and they decided to book out. We also do get a scene where Claire and Jamie had decided to go back to the Ridge, and they're like, sure, cool, I don't give a shit if they accept my resignation or not, I'm gonna done with this bullshit. And we do have Jamie talking with William, and William trying to get more kind of information. Jamie being very much kind of more kind of combative of it, whereas I think William definitely deserves a right to know of what's kind of going on. If Jamie laying with his mother before or after the marriage, what kind of goes on with that, because that does kind of what was kind of going on with this thing. And Jamie should have been pretty much talking about that she blackmailed his ass to do this. And I'm like, okay, there might be some positive aspects to this chick, but holy fucking shit, no way. So that was interesting for them to kind of delve more into that, as we're then getting everybody kind of going back to the Ridge and getting set up that kind of way. This, of course, leads us to Fanny and talking about that and her getting a place to the Ridge. We see them attempting to find her grave, and Fanny just losing her shit and wanting to actually say goodbye to her sister, and Claire trying to kind of help her as well. But I understand Fanny's whole thing. Her whole world's pretty much gone to complete and utter shit. I mean, it was a pretty crappy existence of being in the whorehouse as well, and pretty much almost being pressed into a whore. But she's just lost everything, and she can't even say goodbye to her sister properly. And Claire's kind of helping her, talking her out, and gets this locket that's got a picture of her mother, and that their mother's name was Faith. And oh god, Claire's like, this is kind of weird. And then we see that Fanny is singing this song that Fanny should not know whatsoever, that Claire had sung to Faith as she held what we believed was the dead baby. And she's like, I think that Fanny, I think that our daughter lived, that Faith lived, which then introduces a whole host of problems. What is Master Raymond's endgame? Did he actually take Faith and then provide a dead baby? What has occurred here? Is he time traveling completely and going through different kind of spaces? Does he have access to other different kind of powers? And then this now introduces more of a kind of problem with the whole William, Jane, Fanny scenario. Because I didn't even really think about it until because the episode is like, oh god, why are we doing this Master Raymond and Faith being alive kind of thing? Put a pin in that for a minute. That produces and changes whole different kind of narrative and plot things going on. Now this completely also changes the stuff between William and Jane, because now we find out that William fucked his niece. Because let's go with the order of operations here. Faith is the daughter of Jamie and Claire. William is the son of Jamie. So, half brother, half sister. Jane and Fanny are the daughters of Faith, supposedly, of whatever the fuck is going on here. So, now we've got that kind of Game of Thrones kind of shit going on, and are they going to deal with it? I mean, that's just another kind of, like, I can't, like, why would you do that to William's character? I mean, he's like, I am a bastard. How do I deal with this shit? Oh, I also fucked my niece? Why is this, why? I was just like, oh, God, what? You always have to watch out for what you're fucking doing on these kind of things. I don't know if this is somewhere that the books are actually going to go. I mean, we didn't even touch upon Ferguson, Henry Christensen, and everything that went on in Philadelphia with that kind of shit. They just got fucking punted out of nowhere. Germain actually linked up with Lord John's kind of stuff, but whenever you do that kind of stuff, I want to know if there's some writer in the room who's like, Faith's alive, but dead, and these are her children, but fucking William just got... William fucked her. Oh, God. Like, you gotta watch out for that shit. It's like, oh, my God. What the fuck? Because I'm even trying to find the kind of endpoint. I know that the endpoint for most of it is going to be, like, Claire and Jamie. Who's gonna die? What's going on? What's all the whole stuff with Jamie and Jamie's ghost and all that kind of stuff? Master Raymond has mainly been that thing that had been in the background and was mainly important in the France storyline. Then it just pops up here randomly at the end of the second part of Season 7, at the season finale no less, to then, I guess, set us up for whatever kind of end plot that they're attempting to do for the next season. I'm like, what's going on here? It's just a big kind of thing to kind of just like thunder plop out of nowhere that of course has rippling effects of like butterflies fucking goats and making feta honey cheese out in fucking Saratoga for some fucking reason, where you're like, how did we even get here? It's oh God, it like broke our brains as we're like going with that and like, oh, fuck me. Fuck, I don't even know. We'll have to see how this kind of works out and what kind of repercussions occur from this, how things are streamlined, how they kind of end things. Since there's 10 episodes, are they going to pretty much condense Book 9 stuff into a certain kind of, like, episode frame? Similar to Game of Thrones, where I was thinking, alright, the Night King shit's going to be done in the first 3 episodes. Cersei's going to be dealt with in the last 3. It's like, yeah, that's kind of what they did. I don't even know. This really kind of changes up stuff, especially with what I'd seen from certain kind of summaries in certain kind of companion books, and what I've heard and discussed with my mom. So, there's a... It's just kind of like fucking throwing a nuke right in this shit, and we're like, oh God, what the fuck's gonna go on here? So, I had to see how the rest of this is handled. That's why I didn't go completely like a thumbs down or like all thumbs down. There's good stuff in this episode. This just completely and utterly bamboozled my ass and fucking cracked my ass with like shenanigans. I'm like, what? So we will have to see what really occurs here, because this is a shift, and especially a late game shift of being like, Master Raymond's back. It's like, okay, because I know there's novellas and everything that kind of link up that Master Raymond is at least in play with certain other kind of things going on. But I mean, for most of the main series, he had been done within the whole kind of stuff that they were doing in France to try and stop the Jacobite rising. Man. And then we need the time to explore why Raymond did it, his motivations, what he did with Faith, how he did it. Oh, there's a lot. They got a fucking lot to do for a last season. Never mind the fact of just 10 episodes. So, it's gonna be a hootenanny. So, those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.